everyone, and welcome to Smart Talk. Hey, Mark and Melissa.
Hello. I want to
Yeah.
really briefly just show you my shirt.
Okay, let's see it.
It says vintage
1970
1970 because tomorrow's my birthday. So
Hi.
Happy birthday.
Hi.
51
Go,
and
shorty.
proud.
It's your
51 and
birthday.
proud. So if I'm a little, attitude, got some attitude, just know it's because it's my birthday.
You know,
Your back
Mark,
hurt?
I
You
get to
good?
sit. I get to
does your
sit in the
back
front-
hurt?
I
She's
know.
only
I get to sit-
51. She's still a baby. She's only 51. She's a baby.
I may be drunk, so my back doesn't hurt. But no, I'm just saying, no. And I used to be able to sit in the front seat of the car on my birthday. Okay. So that was a big thing in a family of 5.
Wow.
When mom left the front seats and let her kids sit in the front seats because it was their birthday. So I always remember that.
So you get to fly through the
Especially
windshield
back then.
first. Nice,
That's right.
Mom.
I know.
Well, you
I
know,
get
that didn't happen back then. You didn't need seatbelts
Mm-mm.
for
We're
some
steel
reason.
cars.
It
Like a
remi-
land barge driving down the street.
It reminds me of a Jeff Foxworthy joke. I never forgot it. He goes, back in the day when the kids would be sitting in the back ledge of the back rear window, and all the family went through the windshield with the rest of the family. No seatbelts needed. But he
No
flies through the
seatbelts
window
needed.
Boy,
together.
don't need 'em.
boy, didn't we lay up in the back window?
Remember? Sitting back in there? Sitting on top of
Crazy,
two
right?
flaps. Our
Yes.
age is showing. Oh my.
And
God.
my son is 6 and still has to be in a car seat.
Yeah.
He has to be in a car
Yep.
seat till he's 8 years old. It's like
yeah,
I was
Melissa
in a
did
car-
too.
I was in a car seat for probably what, a year, 2, maybe.
Maybe.
I didn't even know what a
Maybe.
car seat was.
Right. So anyway, so I didn't mean to derail. I'm just trying
No,
to,
that was great.
I'm just trying to seek attention for my birthday.
Happy-
That's all I'm
You
doing.
got
As you
it.
should. Especially I know you and me, Melissa, we really appreciate birthdays, because when you almost don't make your next one, you being a kidney transplant, and I got cancer on my 38th birthday, that just love birthdays. Birthdays are a huge deal. Another year, getting older is better, because what's the alternative?
Right. And it's a privilege. It's a privilege to get older. So
Yep.
I'm representing 1970, everybody, all my Pisces out there. So
Go
there you go.
1970.
That's right.
1970 was a good year. I think I had my tonsils taken out that year.
Now wait a minute.
Yes,
we're
indeed.
so glad for you. Happy birthday. As soon as this quarantine's over, we have so many back celebrations to do together. Birthdays and holidays. We
Yes.
do one big party.
That's right.
So excited. All right. Well, on this episode, we decided we want to talk about something really fun and trendy right now. So it's not good news, bad news. It just is out there and it's causing a buzz. And it is Clubhouse. And all 3 of us are on it, but we all 3 have some, different takes on it. I'm going to give you, is it good? Is it bad? Is it safe? Is it going to last? Who's on this thing? And what is all the buzz about? And I've really kind of been really, really active on it lately. And it has become such a buzz because of quarantine, because that's kind of what it started.
Right.
So
Yeah.
let me just tell you just a few little facts about how it started and some fun things about it. And then we're going to open this up and let's talk Clubhouse. Okay. Clubhouse. Now, Melissa, you might be a little too young for this one, but Clubhouse, I loved it. Mark, I think you remember this. Remember the old-fashioned party lines when you pick up your phone, there'd be somebody talking on the phone and they're not in your house? I vaguely remember that when I was little. I'd pick up the phone. There'd be somebody else on. It was called a party line. So one of the New York Times, it's kind of like a party line where it's all audio, but you can jump into a conversation, kind of like the fly on the wall, listen in. But what makes it different from a podcast is you can also get the microphone. But the moderators who are like the podcasters, like Melissa, I know you're a podcaster, can choose to give them the mic or not, or let them raise hands or not. But it's for invitation only right now for Apple users. Did not stop me, the Android user, because I got an iPad and it works. So that's the little hack for that if you're an Android user like me. You guys are going to love these little stats. Invitations are going now on eBay. They're selling
Come on.
invitations.
Come on. Where's my account? Where is my account?
Who would think? I've got 6 invitations.
I've
Here,
got 2 left.
Okay.
Yes.
eBay is selling them from $30,000 to $20,000 on eBay. An
No.
Apple phone.
Hey, call me.
Oh, yeah, really.
That's
I
right.
get you an invitation for 10K.
You're
not gonna-
10K.
Exactly.
I'm
Right.
not going to hit you over the head at the 20K price point. I'm reasonable about it.
I mean, just as a show that people will sell anything. I mean, I wouldn't even have thought of that, but yep, there you go. Be aware though that Clubhouse lacks some of its privacy filters. We'll talk about in a little bit. The app was unveiled last spring in 2020 by two tech industry veterans, Paul Davison and Rowan Seth. But their prototype that they started of podcasting app seemed too much like just broadcasting. Why do you need another podcast? So that's when they added the feature to let the users chime in, which is the beauty of Clubhouse. You're like listening to podcasts on topics you all love, whether it's health and fitness or sex or anything, health, meditation, yoga, hypnosis. I mean, everything's on there, prayer, got the whole gamut, but you could actually talk to the podcasters on it. So on February 16th, New York Times this year, 2021, said, you're gonna love this, the app gets downloaded 4 million times a month. That's
Wow.
just this February 2021. Thought that was neat. So there's some good business people on this we're going to talk about. There is such great opportunity here. Social media app Clubhouse just had a few thousand users when it first started in Silicon Valley, but during the pandemic, it really has become a hub. And it says today it has millions of users, a valuation of roughly $1 billion already. It's only been out since last March 2020. It became very popular with Silicon Valley, with celebrities. The first people on it, some of the big dogs were Tesla's chief executive, Elon Musk. And if you guys notice, his rooms get shut down real fast and you have overflow. Mark Zuckerberg was one of the early users. So was Mark Cuban, Tim Ferriss, Oprah, Tiffany Haddish. I was in one of her rooms. Ashton Kutcher, Drake, Jamie Foxx, and Vanilla Ice, all early users. And one of my favorites, Les Brown, who I just had a conversation with on Clubhouse. I mean, we're just going to talk to these people. It's like, again, being on the phone with them. There's rooms on every topic in Clubhouse, and you can apply for clubs once you've proven you're an active user. So before I get into all the details, let me just open up the conversation, guys. What's your experience so far with Clubhouse?
Mark?
Speechless.
I know, right?
It's been awesome.
Both on it.
I've enjoyed it. I like the access to people like Les Brown, right? That you would normally get an audience with, right? And next thing you know, you're having a conversation with them, and you might, and as you can see, tons of business is being generated. A lot of people are on there recruiting, selling their widgets. Grant Cardone is on there.
A lot, yeah.
You know, he's on a lot.
Mark, tell people might not know who's Grant Cardone.
So he's a business development and real estate executive, and he has courses that he teaches, and he has become a thought leader in the business development real estate space, and just an all-around celebrity. He's pretty much a rock star, and people like his rooms get shut down all the time too.
They do. Then they have these overflow rooms too, which are interesting. How you get too many on one, there's overflow rooms and there's reruns. It's really, really neat. If somebody is listening to us right now, have no idea what Clubhouse is, there is a wonderful socialmediaexaminer.com really gives great tutorials, professional. They're all about social media. So if you look up socialmediaexaminer.com, they've got great videos like on YouTube, and it'll walk you through basics. So we're just going to kind of talk about what we like about it. But if this is like Chinese, anybody watching, just know you can learn all the ABCs of it, you know,
or for those viewers who can speak Chinese, it's whatever.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. But I'll tell you what, business is booming on Clubhouse. So I encourage everybody to get to know it and be one of these first people on the boat. I don't want you to come back 2-3 years later and say, I wish I started early. Get in now. So much is going on.
Yeah. Emmanuel Lewis was on there my first night, and I didn't know what was going on, right? So I get this notice to pop on. I pop on, and Manny pops into my room and starts talking. And I'm like, what? Hey, Manny, haven't seen you in forever. Haven't talked to you in forever. Stop it. And so we end up having this conversation about how it works. So he's going through like this tutorial with me, you know, and all the little acronyms they have for, you know, PTR, pull to refresh, and, you know, so it reshuffles the room, and, you know, the moderators can bring you up. So he was telling me how it works. Well, then somebody asked him about his time with Michael Jackson, and he starts telling Michael Jackson stories
Again,
from
fly
back
on
in
the
the
wall
day.
stuff. I love that.
Oh my God. So literally I got on at 5:30 p.m.
Mhm.
I didn't get off until after 1 in the morning.
Mark, that brings my point
It
up.
was insane. It was insane.
I have a friend that was on because they were doing these long marathons, and the founders are kind of trying to let people know don't go so long because they don't want people to get burnt out quick. But I have a friend of mine, that businesswoman. She was on one because their group did it. Their club did the longest one, 20 days, 24/7, rotating monitors. But it's like, Melissa, I do want your opinion because you're a podcaster. It's like being a podcaster, having your own Facebook group, and people can talk to you for 24/7, days at a time. Some people do weekend marathons, but you're not the only moderator, the only host. You have several. So you hop off for a few hours, it's still going on. People pop back in. So you have leaders and hosts, which are called moderators, on there that rotate, but 20 days long in there. And it's just everything from, how does Clubhouse work to just food, topics, to all sorts of topics. You can do, hustle. The hustle group is great. It's all about business. And like you said, the Elon Musk and all those people on there about investing. You could meet an investor online. You connect on Instagram because there is no way to troll on Clubhouse. You can't connect with people. You can't type anything. You can't post pictures. But if you want
you
to
can be
connect,
rude. You can be rude.
Let me jump in
verbally,
here
you
because
can.
let me jump in here because I do think
please.
for those who don't know Clubhouse, see, my interpretation of Clubhouse is different than yours because I see it more like a convention. So I know there's a lot of comparisons to podcasts, but I don't see these two as the same thing because Clubhouse to me is going to a convention and having a schedule and figuring out which room you want to go to and hear the speaker. If you decide you want to speak, then you go up to the microphone and ask a question. So to me, that's what Clubhouse is.
That's good.
So those who don't have Clubhouse, there's no visuals. This is all audio. That's why it's compared to podcasting. The only
for a picture, you can see somebody's picture.
But you're not seeing them live is what I'm saying.
Right.
And so that's to me the only comparison.
That's the only similarity.
That's the only similarity because it is audio only. Nobody sees you. You can be in your pajamas, no makeup. It doesn't matter. And the way that I do it is like I do at some conventions. Now I go to geek conventions. I go to Dragon Con and those kind of things.
Star Wars.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You say it with such venom.
I'm sorry.
No, but these sci-fi
Walking Dead one, so it's okay.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. So these conventions are the same as a business convention. You have a convention center, you have these rooms that are filled with speakers, you have your schedule. And what I do with Clubhouse is I don't seek out people I know. I actually go into sessions that I have no idea about. And I do the same thing at Dragon Con. And I find that if I have no expectation walking in and I just sit and listen, I've learned things that I've never, I would never know. And I'm not disappointed, like for me, I just kind of like to try new things. The other trick to Clubhouse that a friend of mine told me about, who's also active on there, is if she knows she wants to talk about something, if she's going into a session that she's familiar with, she will go ahead and click to raise her hand as she goes in, because there's usually a 5 or 10 at least minute delay in your question okay, now Melissa, what would you like to say?
There's usually a line. People, they go in order.
And so if you know that you want to be an active participant, that's a little trick that she does. She just goes ahead and gets in line as soon as she walks in the door. And that way she gets acclimated in the time that she has to wait. And then she knows exactly what she wants to say. So yeah, I think it's more convention. Like, I'm a podcaster. My podcast is called The Frenzy. And it's a different type of entertainment. Mediums are different. Radio is different than television, which is different than newspaper, which is different than YouTube, which is different than TikTok, which is different than podcast, which is different than Clubhouse.
Right.
So I think for anybody who gets overwhelmed by all these things, they serve a different purpose to a different audience. And you have to not, like Aurea is saying, Aurea is giving you the gift of getting on this early if you've never heard of it, because we've all networked on there. It's a great place to network. And you were in on the beta testing. That's what they're doing. I mean, it's only available, invitation only on Apple for a reason. That means they're still testing it out. So when it's released to Androids and you don't have to have an invitation, then everybody's going to be on it. So might as
Yeah.
well go in ahead of time.
And you do have to like first be using it. And rooms are like what I love your analogy of a convention. It's great. Rooms are like the different rooms you can just go into. But if you want to start your own club, think of like a Facebook group. You don't just get to do it like you do a Facebook group. You have to apply, and you have to have done so many rooms yourself moderated before you even get thought about, and then you're not guaranteed to even get it. Now, maybe later on down the line, either A, it's going to get way crowded, nobody's ever going to get a club, and you're going to be lucky to get one. So I'd say get one now. Or, it'll be more plentiful later, but I have a feeling there's going to be just a lot of people wishing they got a club now. So if you have an idea for a club, kind of like Facebook group type of thing, get in now. And Melissa, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Being a podcaster, I read something today as I was researching. It said the pro and con for podcasting, like, is this going to replace podcasting? And they said, no, actually, it's good for podcasters because it gets people who maybe weren't even in the habit of listening to podcasting, like me, because I'd never had this Apple before and had all this good stuff. Because you put it down, you have your Clubhouse, and you're usually multitasking. And that's what you do with podcasting. You might be driving your car, listening to a great podcast like The Frenzy, or doing other things, listening to podcasts like The Frenzy. You should really listen to it.
I know, right? Pay a ray on the side.
No. There you
But
go. But it's good for that, to get people in the habit of listening, because we're so visual. Usually, like, I like TV, I like to watch movies, but you can't really multitask. But for podcasting, do you think that it'd be something you could start a room or club like the Frenzy Club or a Frenzy Room, where we're able to talk with you? We don't have to be your special guest, but we can talk to you, because yours is about agelessness and women with, we think we're getting older in the age. Would you like to start a room like that? Is that something that would get you excited, or are you just not going to do it at all?
And Mark, when Array is on the show, because Array is going to be a guest on The Frenzy, we'll also talk about that too, because it is about women over the age of 40 and how you should stop lying about your age. I know, 1970.
So I can't be on the show. Is that what you're
Mark,
saying?
you can be on the show, but you got to put some lipstick on.
Oh my goodness.
You can talk about the women you work with that you love so much.
There you go.
Yeah, I think, again, going back to the analogy of the original media, mediums, which is newspaper, radio, and television, because this is all, to me, the landscape has changed to where we're getting our entertainment in other places, but we have to remember these are all entertainment things, right? And so a newspaper served a different purpose, like I said before, than television, than radio. And so, to your point, yes, Jen Hobby, who is also the co-host on The Frenzy, we would absolutely, we've already talked about being able to have a club on Clubhouse. But it would be a supplement to what we're doing. Is a different thing. Like you said, it's a direct interaction. The beauty of podcasting is it lives forever. So when you record a show on podcasting, you could go back 5 years from now and access that episode just like that, where on Clubhouse, it's a one and done. And it's just like, again, a convention where you see them. And if you missed it, you missed it, unless they do a replay.
And you know what, Melissa, I think conventions are a lot more formal than Clubhouse. Like Clubhouse is pop in, pop out,
you have to get dressed for a convention,
float all over the place. Yeah. I mean, the podcasting, to me, the beauty of podcasting is in the stories and the storytelling of the podcaster themselves. I mean, because that's what forms that connection. That's what keeps you coming back for more. There are some amazing podcasts out there on crime and those are some of the best ones.
Those are some of the best ones. Right.
But Melissa made the best point. I totally forgot to talk about it. It is not recorded. There are no archives. And if you've recorded, even because I tried this out, I was on my iPad. I'm still new with this. And I went to hit, my daughter was showing me the record button on the iPad. And so I was on Clubhouse. I went to hit record, and you get a warning. It is against the rules to record this. You will be shut down. So you're not allowed to record unless you took something that's not connected, and you could record, of course. But if you don't record, this is not archived anywhere. So you're right, Melissa. It's one and done. You miss it, you're out. You can't rewind. You can't go back. So you hop in the rooms when you can. And you talk about, and sometimes people are just talking about a lot of nothing. Some of them are just mixers. So sometimes if you're lonely at home, or you just want to kind of listen in, or just kind of meet people, that's what I did last week. I went into an entertainment room full of actors, and I love the world. I love the people in the whole theater business, even though I'm not an actress anymore. I do, the real show. I'm a TV show host, which is a different ballgame altogether.
A different form of entertainment, right?
Yes. I met the neatest people. I met some people that may be able to help us on our show here. I met some really cool, fun people that I ended up having a private Zoom call with like a week later, but there is so much business to be done. The key thing is, though, you've got to interact off the platform. You're only allowed to have your Twitter account and your Instagram account on Clubhouse as an active link. It's at the very bottom of your profile, and you're not limited to how much you put on your profile, but it's a different format than anything else you've ever seen. Emojis count. Even the most professional billionaires have emojis. It's the way you do it. And at the very bottom, if you want to connect with somebody, you click on the link for their Instagram or Twitter, and you contact them that way. Although you can put your phone number there if you want it, or your email address, but it won't be an active link. So then you go offline and you say, I love meeting you today in this room. And if you want to connect, and people are really excited, and everybody's, email, not everybody, but I've had great success. People direct message me back and really doing some things offline, but don't just be in there and then don't.
Well, and that's the reason I compare it to convention, because that's similar to leaving the convention, handing your business card to the person and saying, can we connect later on what you're talking? Now, I want to ask you to, as broadcasters, this part of it, because it is new, and there are probably people in there who are used to having visuals. One of the things I've noticed with Clubhouse from a radio personality standpoint is not everybody understands how they can be dynamic when it's audio only. So I honestly, I found some people I've left some rooms because it's like, oh God, like this is boring. They're not good brutal. On the mic.
Yes.
Or they're not getting to
or
the
they're
point
hogging
quick
the
enough.
mic.
Yeah. Or they're too hard.
Yeah,
or they're too hard on the mic. Right. So yes, there's a part of me that feels like, well, do I need to offer my services as a Clubhouse trainer?
You can be a moderator,
to help you with this.
Yes, it's in my
It's one thing to be a moderator. It's another thing to be a trainer for people to actually learn how to
could. Why not?
talk on Clubhouse.
Why not? You could sell your invitations on eBay. Why couldn't you train?
That's right.
It's actually a whole new business, Melissa, you just came up with. There's people that help people grow their Instagram following, and that didn't start till somebody thought about it. I bet somebody needs help to get their following. Absolutely, a trainer would be a great online course you could even do.
And because and that's a great point, because people need to know how to be most effective in that space, right? You can't be effective in that space if you just talk and don't interact.
Exploding with tutorials.
It's got to have the interact. The beauty of Clubhouse is the interaction and the quality of your room. So yeah, you might be Grant Cardone, or you might be some superstar, Kevin Hart or Chris Rock or somebody amazing. But if you don't interact, right, and bring the group along with you on the journey, then it's a wait. Like I can go watch, Kevin Hart do stand up on Netflix. I don't need to go in the Clubhouse,
right.
But if I have a question, right, I'm assuming that Kevin Hart is here, to talk about the industry, and I want to ask him a question. So if he doesn't entertain the group,
right,
and interact with the group, then the purpose is defeated.
And the coolest thing is like when I was on the room, I just kind of pop in. Les Brown was on. I love listening to Les Brown. He's here in Atlanta. I've met him once before, but I got in there and I just hopped on. And sometimes people just give you the mic and you can accept it or deny it. And they gave me the mic and I went and I didn't have a particular question, but I started talking and just gave my testimonial because he's all about your voice. He's all about, for this being a speaker. He's all about take action, be a speaker type thing. And I just told my testimony about not having a voice and being in television. And he came on, and he gives you like this word of expertise. He gave me the name of this book that I should be writing about. Lost my voice, got it back, now changing the world. My voice is changing the world. I mean, and he goes, not only, and it's just the way he said it was just amazing. I was trying to write it down because it's not recorded. So I'm trying to write it down while I'm on the phone with Wes.
If it was a podcast, it'd be up there forever. I'm just kidding. There's
I
no
know.
competition. I'm just kidding.
We're not going to stop listening to podcasts, that's for sure. So here it is, Les Brown, which is, I just love him. And so you could be on a call or a room with anybody you just love, and they could talk to you. So he's giving me this like words of wisdom. And then he said, as a matter of fact, I'm going to connect you with a dear friend of mine. He said, I've done 30 years, who is a writer at Disney. She needs to know you, and she'd be a perfect fit to be your ghostwriter to write the books. I was a great writer. And he goes, email me, and he gives out his email address, lesbrown@speakersaction or whatever.com. And my friend Amy Walker was listening to it, and she emails me, I heard Les Brown say that. That was so cool. So it's kind of like the buzz. So you never know what doors open. And I did follow up right away. And I took a screenshot of me up at the mic where he was and his son, kind of like the eye buys, you remember? Mark Victor Hansen taught me that years ago. If ever a celebrity or someone on the stage says, here, contact me, whatever, remember they're saying that to probably lots of people. You're not the only one. And if you take a picture with them or get, like I did, a screenshot, I said, this was me, remember my story, and here's why I'm following up. Because you got to remember, he's probably getting, 1,000 people. He's going to say, email me, because I know it's not like a person I'm the only one he's doing it for. So I did that to make the follow-up. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens.
Well, are we going to the premiere, Mark? Are we
Yes.
invited to the red carpet when Aurea Story gets a nice animated or family
I
movie?
can see me as a cartoon.
Yeah.
Absolutely, we're going. Shoot.
Just saying, Aurea.
And so now, all these positives, all these great things about Clubhouse, there are a couple of drawbacks. And for me, one is the notifications. Oh my God, my phone and my watch buzz all day long.
Oh, your watch. I don't have a smartwatch. I have a stupid watch.
Yes. So because you get notifications like every 10 seconds.
You got to turn, can you turn the volume off?
Well, no, it's not the volume. It just pops up saying,
you can turn your notifications off. If you can turn the notifications off, but then you're not going to know.
Then I miss out on people. Right. Then I miss out on people that I follow. Right. And I guess because I follow so many people, I get a ton of notifications. But, it's like, I don't want to miss anything. Right. So
that's why they're in beta testing. That's why they're in beta testing, is because they're going to hear about all the
That's why I like it on my iPad. It's not on my phone. I don't know if maybe your phone or your watch, you could turn off notifications, keeping it the notifications
you can turn them off.
Clubhouse, and just like having an iPad, because if I'm not in the room, I'm not going to hear it. But you're right. When I'm near my iPad, it's blowing up.
Yeah. And so, and I think that's one of the things that I've noticed is, like if you pop on somebody's profile, they'll say that, their notifications are off, or they turn their notifications off. Yeah. So, people are turning them off probably for that reason, because I know it frustrates me.
I didn't even think about that, because I don't have the phone to make me crazy.
Yeah, because if your phone buzzes or beeps, your watch, and your watch is chiming, So then I got my wife looking at me like, who is that blowing you up on your watch and your phone? What is that? What is going on?
What's her name? What's her name?
What's she wearing?
What's she wearing? Yeah, State Farm. It's Jake from State Farm.
Khakis. Yes, I can see it ruining families and marriages. And some people are talking about they just have to get off because it's got addicting, and these long marathon weekends are going crazy. And that's when I was saying before that the two founders have made it mention, I guess somewhere on their Clubhouse rooms about Clubhouse, to please keep your rooms to a reasonable hour, because the long marathons are going to burn people out. It'll be fun for a while, but then you're either going to have no life, or families are going to get upset because you're going to be in the Clubhouse all the time.
And see, I'd push back on that. You got to go on there with a purpose, right? Are you going to go on to promote your widget, or go to find some information and then get off? Or are you going to just go in there and search and see what happens and go down the rabbit hole? We're coming out of this. We're coming out of this quarantine.
Yeah, yes. It is self-discipline, because I love TikTok. TikTok has been such a saving grace for me during the pandemic, because it's so hilarious, and I will get on there and then it'll be 3 hours later. I'm like, but TikTok,
she's the youngin' in this group. She's on TikTok.
That's right. But even on TikTok, if you scroll a certain amount, there's a canned video they have of somebody saying, hey, you've been here too long, you need to go rest, you need to go get something to eat.
That's because it's kids.
They purposely discourage people from being on there after a certain amount of scrolls.
My daughter doesn't listen then.
What happens after we come out of this quarantine and we're not, mashed in the house? Does Clubhouse still have that same effectiveness and that same allure?
I think it will.
The only thing about, I will jump in and say that the only thing the reason I think that part of it will not translate is because with everything else, you can listen without participating and having to do a lot of activity.
Or travel.
I worry about people who are in the car and commuting and listening to these things. If you have to click to go into this room and this room and that room and that room and search, and then ask a question and do this, I think it's too active for passive
against a lot of text and drive. Let's not do that.
And so, so that's the only thing is I'm curious what Clubhouse will do to adapt to the new environment of traveling.
Right. And that's another point too, to be on the lookout, because we'll wrap this up. We don't want to talk too long about it, but it's worth getting on. It's worth, if you don't have an iPhone like I don't, to get the iPad, because they are right now, they have not even launched the monetization. You know how people making a lot of money on Instagram, even Pinterest, and you go back, I wish I had started when it was brand new. So that's why I didn't want to hesitate. I wanted to just get on the bandwagon early, because they are going to have monetization. There is going to be an opportunity to like charge for your room or charge people for your club to be to make money as a moderator, sponsorships. So there's a lot of monetization coming out. So I would say get in now, get good at it. You know, and again, balance, time management, don't overload it. Any social media can suck you down the rabbit hole, of course. Please don't do that.
How are they going to
knowing
monetize
about
it?
it? What?
Yeah, I don't see it. How are they going to monetize?
Well, I just said you're going to be able to charge for the room. There's going to be sponsors. It's going to be like the Facebook, I'm sure. They're going to have ads, sponsors.
So, you mean
can
charge for entry?
No, you can charge people to get onto a certain room. Like if you want to go on Elon Musk's room, he might then say you might be able to leave a tip. I think there was a tip jar. Like you can leave them a tip if you really like that room. I don't think it'll be mandatory, but I think a lot of people like tipping.
Well, and here's the problem with media, because what you would call it,
it's all just hearsay, so nothing's in all the works.
But what I'm saying is social media is nothing but media. So people need to quit thinking you binge watching Netflix is any different than being on social media. It's all entertainment and interaction on some level, because you watch a show on Netflix so you can talk to your friends about it, right? Or you watch what everybody else is talking about. So there is a social aspect to even when you're just at home watching. The problem that media companies have is that they give these away for free based on advertising. Okay. That's the structure of the media business up to this part. So to Mark's facial expressions, Aurea, I agree with him, is that if you are naive enough to think that the general public is actually going to pay for something they may get access for free somewhere else, they're not going to do it. And so I think, Ray talked about, I think the we haven't found a better system than advertising, even though people hate advertisements, but that's maybe the only way that's the only way that media companies make money. The only way I got paid to do morning radio was because the commercials we played during the show. Exactly. And so I think that they're going to have to do that, because I can tell you, I think they're going to drop half their people. And it's only going to end up being moderators who are international celebrities that people will pay for. The average person is not going to be able to charge anything.
Right.
And that was just something I heard being in a Clubhouse room. It was like a Clubhouse. They do a Clubhouse forum every Sunday from Clubhouse. And it was talk of, they haven't even rolled out monetization. So I'm sure they're in beta testing for all that. And there's people like all of us on there saying, I wouldn't pay, I wouldn't tip. But
well, the thing
is,
I think
more to it than that.
They see these inflated numbers and they think, oh, this is going to be great. If each person pays $1, it's like, well, guess what? 90% of the people on there are not going to pay.
They won't pay $1.
To pay $1 to do anything. It's just like newspapers who charge you to read their articles. Nothing makes me more mad than when and it's like, I know you're trying to make a buck, but you gave the milk away for free for too long. So
that's true.
Well, again,
that'll be interesting.
How do you monetize it? What do you tell your advertisers, that people are going to see you? No,
unless they're going to have banners.
Can you guarantee how many people hear you? I mean,
might be a
what's the metric of measurement? So I mean, and that's what you've got to be able to clearly define before you start asking advertisers to dump millions of dollars worth of advertising.
They're going to monetize it.
Well, that's the problem.
I just don't know how.
But that's the problem with podcasting. Podcasting has not figured that out yet.
Really?
So podcasters the only podcasters that make enough money to simply be podcasters is Joe Rogan. There's his name. He's the only one. Everybody else is doing something on the side, and the podcast is a way to get them to funnel them to something else.
Right.
So, I mean, a lot of podcasters will quit after just a few months doing it, because they thought, oh, I put myself out there, everybody's going to come running. And guess what? That's not how it works. And everybody thinks that media is so easy. And there was so much effort to go in every show I've ever been in. And people think that, oh, I can get on a mic and talk, and I can bring millions of people in to talk, to listen to me. It's like,
how hard could it be?
People have been spinning their wheels.
Too many people have a
microphone. Those shows. Well,
you're right.
I think people have gotten it for free and been entertained so easily, and they never saw the behind the scenes of how long it took a show to get off the ground. And so
I'm saying eventing too, Melissa and Mark, so many people think that, I'll put on an event. Really? We all know I've done my events for years, and they are not for the faint of heart, not for a good one. You can put on one halfway, sure, but they're not get rich quick. They're not, most people lose money, but I made great money on all of them, but still gave great value, had great sponsor. Everybody was so happy, from the people that attended, people that sponsored, the speakers. speakers, because I made sure every element of it, I gave great value. It wasn't about me. Let me go stand on the stage and make great money. That was the last thing on it. But there is an element where you do it for purpose. So you won't do things for free too long. Like we were saying, you only do a podcast but not making money for so long, because time is money, and you only take yourself away from family and other things if it's purposeful.
And I don't want to discourage anybody from trying a podcast, trying an event or anything, but you got to need a team of people to pull it off. And I think that you thinking you're just going to turn on a microphone and start talking, you may have great, compelling stories, but you need a team of people to help you get that heard. It's not just a matter of launching the pod. It's not enough. It's not enough to launch a club on Clubhouse. There's a whole strategy, and just go into it, like Aurea said, with purpose and a plan. Don't just haphazardly do it, because that's the result you'll get.
That won't work. That won't work.
Before we get to that, kind of reminds me, don't be not so smart, when we're going to get to our not so smart section in a second. You want to be smart in everything you do. Do you all have, because you're all very, Melissa doing the podcast and Mark been in news anchor, do you have an idea if you had like one smart way that Clubhouse could monetize? Do you have a suggestion? What would be a way that you think that would work? I'm thinking they could do advertising banners like we used to see, that it's just up there, this room is sponsored by, or something cute, or I don't know. It doesn't show anything visual unless they add a banner to it. I don't know. What do you
think? Traditionally, I think, to me, I think of giveaways, because that's what always brings people to the tab. You have a sponsor you, and then have the sponsor give you something to give away, and the people will stay in that talk until the end of the talk. For somebody to get a freebie.
So the free Teslas.
And that way you are promoting that product.
That's a great idea.
Time.
Yeah.
I like that. What about you, Mark?
Or they could drop some, like YouTube does, before you are allowed into the room, they hit you with a 15-second, commercial, or, kind of blurb.
I guess it would have to be audio, like radio and podcast.
Yeah.
That could work. But
welcome to Clubhouse.
Yeah, but
this is Nally Lexus. Come. Feel the experience.
Again, it's all around sponsorships.
They would have to do it though, like every few minutes, because people come and go. A beauty thing about Clubhouse too is when you get into a room, if we were saying, like, if they're really boring and you don't even like the monotone voice, there's a little leave quietly button. So you don't get announced when you come in, and you don't get announced when you leave. So I'm popping on and off till I find one that's compelling. So if an advertiser only advertises in the very beginning of the room, and that room lasts several hours.
No, what he's saying is when you enter the room,
when you enter,
get the advertisement.
Oh.
Right.
So every time you pop in and out, you're getting
just like YouTube.
Whoever's sponsoring that room, you get the little advertisement. Whoever's sponsoring that room, when you enter, you personally get the advertisement for the sponsor of that room. But again, it's around sponsorship. People are not willing to let go of their money directly. If you can make people feel like, if it's an indirect sale, then you're better off than trying to tell people here's your membership fee into something. Because then they're like, I could be using, especially after a pandemic. I could use that $5 to do something else. I'm not going to sit here. And I don't even know what you're talking about. That's the other thing about Clubhouse is I don't even know what your presentation is. I'm coming in to check it out. So you can't charge me to.
And you can't promote it.
Right. You can't promote it.
And you can't show us what you've done before in Clubhouse. Right. So you can't record anything.
That's right.
So it's all about brand and brand recognition.
Yeah.
Right. So
and
somebody
topics.
Yeah. And who doesn't know us, people who don't know us are not going to be enthused about, paying for access to our presentation. We're like, we don't know those people.
Right.
But Kevin Hart, I know Kevin Hart, or I know Grant Cardone, or, I know Mark Zuckerberg. I want to hear what he's talking about. I'll pay $29.99 to get in there.
Yeah. Makes sense. Well, I think we should do, I want to come back. I want to revisit this, give it about 6 months, and we're going to come back and do Clubhouse Conversation Part 2. Let's see where it goes. Let's see where we are 6 months from now, because I'm really curious. I just want to open up this conversation and say, hey, have you checked it out? Do you like it? How do you use it? So we would love feedback. Anybody that's watching, do you get anything out of it? Do you like it? And some people it's always love being that listener. And I think it's a great way to be a fly on the wall. Sometimes you just want to do something like Melissa was saying, we just want to sit down and veg and watch Netflix. Sometimes you just want to get in your pajamas, get in bed, and just listen to a good conversation that interests you, whether it's menopause, or whether it's dating, or whether it's hypnotism and yoga, or prayer. I mean, it's people that are prayer ones, they're just reading scriptures, whatever makes you feel good, that what you want. Sometimes it just might be that. So if it does that
Um,
and puts a smile on your face, then it's worth it.
Yeah, Ray, I'm checking my watch here. You said 6 months. If I have sold my 10 invitations for $10,000 each, I'll probably be doing that episode from Bali. Yeah, I'll be in Bali or Fiji.
Well, we have our Zoom link there, so
I'll be in
okay.
fruity drink country is where I'll be.
That's right.
We're gonna see him on eBay. I love it.
mean-
Okay, I'll be right there with you. I got 6 invites. Let me see if I never thought to sell them. I'm thinking, who wants
That's
these?
so crazy. That's crazy to think about.
Insane.
Smart. Hey, that's kind of smart. So let's talk about being smart and not so smart. I think that's kind of smart. If somebody, what is sales? What is profit? If somebody will buy it, sell it.
It's
How
all
much is it
about
worth? Whatever they'll
supply
pay
and
for it.
Supply and demand. I got to supply you. You know, you have the demand.
God, people
Hello.
like back in the early time, people buying, and I would have never thought of this either. Buying website URLs. People, I know people that have like thousands that they bought way back then, having nothing to do with their name. They're buying other people's names.
Well, see, back in the beginning, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Oprah had to pay off one of those people. They got it before she could.
So did American Idol.
Yeah. So back in the day,
So did American Express.
Wow. See, I would have never good. See, smart.
So they made money. They made money.
Yes.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of smart people out there. So let's talk about some not so smart people. And we will revisit Clubhouse. Give us your guys' opinion. Tell us if you're loving it, if you enjoy it as just a hobby and pastime, or if you're using it, monetizing it. We want to know about that. So, not so smart people. We got to laugh at them. We need to laugh, so why not at them? Okay. I kept it with a social media theme because we're talking about social media. So I've got just a couple of really dumb things said on social media. It looks like it's just kind of like, I think they're like on Twitter or something. So here's one. How did people know, and it's N-O, how did people know what roads to take before Google Maps was made? Somebody chimes in, they use maps. That not so smart person chimes back, what? Spelled W-A-T. No, I said before Google Maps. Like that's the only map they know.
Yeah. Ouch.
My age is
I'm questioning. I'm
showing.
really questioning our educational system. I mean, we've got to do something.
I'd be scared
We
to show
got to
my
do
daughter.
something. What? W-A-T? Oh my word.
Well,
We used to
no,
have these
and-
map
well,
books
yeah.
in the TV trucks, and everything was done by grid. So you looked up the street, it show you
At
the
least you had a
grid, you go to
book.
page.
Remember the folding? You could
Yes.
never,
I was
ever
good with
get
those
it
folding
folded
maps.
back. You were?
Yeah, those folding
maps
I
were
never
rough.
could get them back. I could never get them back.
I
Those are
and I
rough.
love looking at maps. I love looking at globes and maps. I just love that. But yes, thank God we do have Google Maps. But it's not where we started. People.
Well, if you misspell something, if you don't spell correctly, I've already dismissed your argument. I'm sorry.
Oh
Yeah.
Well, these are
If you,
bad.
Gotta
if
go.
you are, if you're trying to like be smart and you misspell something, and if it's
I'm
if
done.
it's,
Like
yeah,
what? W-A-T? Really?
No,
Yeah.
you don't have to spell
No.
no. I'm out. I'm not listening to you anymore.
No.
I'm sorry.
Don't mess
Yeah.
with Melissa.
Well, I expect intelligence. I expect
Yeah.
whatever
That-
intelligence you have. I don't care if your IQ is low or high. Whatever it is, use it to its fullest ability.
You spell check. I
Right.
mean, if you don't know it, find out. All right, anyway. So
No,
another one.
you
I'm
don't know how to know.
trying to help people. You know what I say? How about this one? Cracked me up. This person says to someone, "I am not a bloody taxi service. If you want a lift, I expect money." The reply, "That would make you a taxi." You see it saying to your friends, "I'm not a taxi service. I want to get paid." Well, then that would make you a taxi service.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna end with the best one that really, me as the animal lover, cooked my goose. Besides being American. Oh my God. Okay, here we go. I got to show you this one. This guy says, "American flag with a weird looking parrot."
That is awful. That is shameful.
To me, it was he serious. That's where I'm like, come on,
Right.
on.
But
Come
I-
on.
The weird looking parrot. I mean,
Yeah.
my eagle. Don't say it's a weird looking parrot. I love
Yeah.
parrots, but that one just got to me. I'm like,
That's sad.
what
That
do you
is
guys
sad.
got? I know. So social media bloopers, enjoy them.
All right,
They're there. They're a
I'll-
thing.
Mine is I call myself out because I've done what I'm going to report.
Mm.
What this
Uh-oh.
person did, I've done.
Ooh.
Okay. There was a flight from Florida to New Jersey on United Airlines, and a woman on the flight had pepper spray on her key ring, and she accidentally
Went
set
to
it
security?
off They were on the plane, and she pepper sprayed everybody
No.
by releasing the pepper spray. Have you ever been pepper sprayed, Aurea? I've done this very thing. I had pepper spray on a key ring, and I accidentally set it off. And it doesn't just pepper spray you and the person next to you. That stuff
It gets the whole room.
It burns. It gets the whole room.
Wow. So
Wow.
it came off because it was in the high altitude or something?
No, I think she's probably moving it or something. So the problem with those pepper sprays on your key rings is like the tops it's not secure.
How do you get through security with that?
That's a good question.
Probably wouldn't anymore.
Yeah,
that's not so smart.
No,
not so
that's
smart.
not so smart in several areas.
Put the pepper spray away when you travel on the plane.
It wasn't so smart of me at a Chi Mega sorority event.
But I love that you admitted that you did it not so smart. What'd she say?
Chi Mega sorority.
He maced the room.
I did it. I maced the room, and friends' grandmothers were hacking outside on the sidewalk. And so the same problem with these people on the plane. So anyway, I think you know what I think is not so smart? Putting pepper spray on a key ring. That's what's not so smart.
Okay.
That's not so smart.
From the
All right.
If you have some, take it off your key ring. It's not there's no perp that's going to come at you. You're going to end up doing it when you do. It's
pepper spray yourself.
Wow. So sad.
Well, thank you, Melissa, for being honest. We can laugh at you today.
That's right.
Gosh almighty, that's funny. Well, listen, mine is not so funny. My not so smart goes to a couple of there are several runner-ups, including the city of Atlanta after this past weekend having the All-Star game here and partying like it's 1999.
Oh God.
How frustrating is that? I mean, in 3 weeks, we'll probably see the numbers go back up for I just don't get it. But the state of Texas, what are you doing?
Yes.
That's my not so smart for this week, people.
You, Mark.
Is the state of Texas. As big as that state is, as pivotal as it is in commerce, travel, people are flying through Dallas all the time.
Tell them what they did, Mark.
People are flying through Houston all the time. They lifted their mask mandate, and now but think about all the consternation it's going to cause. Let's say, Aurea, you have a compromised immune system, and you have a customer that comes into your store and doesn't want to wear a mask.
Oh,
I mean, are you going to ask that person to leave? And when you ask that person to leave, think about the issue. Well, the governor said I don't have to.
You're going to get all sorts of trouble.
The state and there are others. There are 4 other states too: Montana, Iowa, North Dakota, and Mississippi that have done it too. So, I mean, it's the same place in any of those places. I think Texas being one of the biggest states, in the republic, it just makes we're near the end.
I know,
we can see the end of the tunnel.
We would have been, this would have been ended by now had people just done what they were supposed to do.
Thank you.
A year ago. That we would have already been out of it. And this
is a whole nother show we got to do.
You people that I wouldn't want to call you something else are delaying it and delaying it and delaying it and delaying it by this
and complaining at the same time. And you can't not wear the mask and then complain.
Yeah, and I was thinking the not so smart of this is they're hoping, because I was talking to somebody about this and they were trying to make me not so irate, like I know the 3 of us are, and say, well, they're hoping people will make the right decision, will still be safe. Well, we've seen Georgia and people.
We've seen the entire world, and especially the United States of America, and what they'll do when they're given the decision. And they made it a political issue. They made masks a political issue, and over 500,000 people are dead because of that, of your friend's mentality and Texas's mentality and everybody else's mentality. And I'll tell you to your face with a mask on 6 feet apart. But if you argue with me, I'm happy to argue all day long because you are the problem.
You are the problem.
If you don't wear a mask, you are the problem.
And Melissa said this 6 months ago on our shows, because you're not wearing a mask, you're lazy. I remember you said that, you're lazy.
Just shut up and wear a mask. Just enough. I mean, you're like that kid that should be sent to detention in the class because you keep disrupting class and you keep disrupting class and you keep disrupting class. And we're just trying to move the country forward. We're just trying to make businesses open again and schools open again and teachers feel safe again. And you're the problem. You're the problem.
I was really shocked.
And stop telling me we're infringing on your rights and your freedom.
You have
Get
to
outta
have
here
the
with
car
that.
insurance.
It's
you know,
nonsense.
get in the car.
No. You talk about no. Here's what I want you to do. Exactly what Ray is hinting at. If your freedoms are infringed, then I want you to go above the speed limit, which is a government mandate, and I don't want you to wear a seatbelt, which is a government mandate, and let's take our chances, shall we?
Talk on the
Right.
phone, and then when a cop stops you, just say, "You're infringing on my rights." I can go as fast as I
Right.
want.
And let's see what happens.
Go for
Let's
it.
see what happens.
Mark,
Not so
I'm so glad
smart.
you brought that up because it really is. I thought that was not so smart. I'm like, what am I missing? Why now, when we're so close to people, like you said, they were just saying the president's saying we should all be maybe vaccinated by the end of June. We're so close to even get us 99% there before we start opening things up.
Well, that starts the herd immunity. If all,
Right.
I believe it's 70%. If we get
70% is the number I heard. Yep.
Immunization, that will begin that herd immunity, which means we're going to finally eradicate this virus from our community.
It needs a host.
But why don't you just take your mask off?
Yeah, why don't you just open up now while we're so close? It's been a year, people. It's
Makes
been
no sense.
a year.
It's
I
been
remember
a year
this
this week.
sense.
It's been a year this week since the lockdown.
Because remember, St. Patrick's Day was the first parade that got canceled. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're canceling St. Patty's Day parade. I'm Irish, so I noticed that, and it was like a big thing. And then we haven't opened up since. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you, Mark, for ending us on that note. Did we get us all riled up? To say, have a nice day, people. Good to see you. We'll be revisiting this in about 6 months to see where we are. We'll revisit Clubhouse. And if y'all have any topics you want us to rile us up about, let us know. Guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of Smart Talk so we can talk smart and laugh at people who are not so smart, but in a nice way. We're just having fun. Thank you, guys. Say goodbye to everyone. Thank you for being here with Smart Talk. See you next time. Yeah, 1970. Happy birthday, Melissa.
Yeah.
Let me give you her address. Send her a gift. It is, no, I'm kidding.